lot of things going on. We need to, I guess, touch on a few things real fast. We want to look at these police shootings. It's been happening so frequently. But we want to look at it in a lot of different perspectives because I want to provoke thought. I hope that someone listening to this will do some research and open your mind and step out of the status quo paradigm. You dig? So let's get it in. First, since they've been playing this race car thing, so let's look at this police shootings, and I'm specifically talking about police shooting armed or unarmed individuals. And let's look at it in terms of victim count. Black victims versus white victims. Latin or Mexican, Chicano victims versus white victims. Asian, Native American. Let's look at them all. And then look at them per capita. We need to really look at it from a statistical standpoint because we're being fed a certain theme around these. And I find it ironic that you don't hear too much about Native American victims, but when you do the research and see how many Native American victims there are and then look at it per capita, it's astonishing. And then you look at the white victims. How come white victims, Native American victims don't make it to the media, but blacks are making it to the media? Also, they've been playing a game with some of these cases in terms of, all your information from these cases is coming from the media, especially if they don't release the official documents. And if you don't have access to them or know how to get access to them, you're only judging the case based on what you see in the media, and that's pure mindfuckery. In certain cases, even our eyes tell us something's wrong. This person didn't have to die. This was wrong, and our eyes aren't lying to us. However, based on the laws in that particular city and or state, and the way the police manual is written up, sometimes you see cases, the cops go away, and then the public doesn't know why. It's because they were within, unfortunately, the law. So they got all the energy directed in the act, and why aren't they being prosecuted, this, that, and the other? There's no energy ever put in to the local officials who are responsible for those laws and responsible for changing those laws. So that's how I want you to think about that. Also, I want to talk about something that's being blacked out of the media also, and that is police officers getting killed. There's a lot of police officers that have been getting killed, and it's not making it to the media at all. So you have to ask yourself, why is that happening? And when you do a little bit of background research on who is suspected to be the killers of these police officers, and you do an in-depth background on the alleged culprits or the suspects, that is also astonishing. You'll notice I'm not really going into details because I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just trying to plant some seeds and you can go out there and harvest on your own. You did. But there are, just to let you know, you can go check that out. It's out there. A lot of police officers that are being killed and it's not being reported. Also, I would like you to compare the case of Christopher Dorner versus the case of, and I'm drawing a blank now, but how the rules of engagement versus Chris Dorner and versus this gentleman who was in state Pennsylvania, and it took them, weeks, maybe well over a month before they apprehended him. You have to read you can't just be, because he's black and he's white. No, it's deeper than that. And that's when you do those background checks. That's when you do the background check on the Christopher Dorner case. And, the myth and the facts about the manifesto. And then you go into this story about this guy in Pennsylvania. And you never really get find very interesting things. Also, let's look at infrastructure. What I mean by that, Posse Comitatus. They went around, and it's already demolished now, but they went around Posse Comitatus by federalizing some local police departments and by militarizing them. Posse Comitatus basically, is an anti-martial law type of act in government. Basically, the citizens will not be policed by the military. Well, they just changed the rules of engagement, and now that has affected our whole infrastructure, from the cameras, from the way TSA operates, from now we are seeing, especially in light, if you look at statistics and don't pay attention to the media, you see the rules of engagement they're being changed. People are not, you're going to have to adjust how you deal with the law enforcement community, period. Because the rules of engagement have been changed. Posse Comitatus is null and void. I'm not going to go into all of the conspiracy theories about FEMA camps and all this type of stuff. These are things that need to be discussed. However, I believe they need to be discussed more on a fact-finding premise, more so than what you see commonly in the social media, where it's people are putting their own reason behind why the FEMA camps are there. If you know how things work, everything is documented. You just have nowhere to look. And so that's why I'm not going to go into the FEMA camp angle of the new rules of engagement, although it is connected. You see these gun rights. You see the police departments and federal agencies are bulking up their budgets and their purchasing of armaments, small armaments in terms of assault rifles, handguns, and ammunition. And you see there's a call for tightening the ability for the public to access guns and what type of guns they can access. So that's what I mean by new. That's why I call it infrastructure, because it's changing the game. Also, as a result of these new rules of engagement, if you watch enough videos of these interactions where they involve a shooting, don't get involved in black or white. If you know America and you're an honest individual and understand how this country came to be and what it took to get to where it's at today, then if you're an honest humanitarian, regardless of your race, you would have to say that throughout history there has been a systemic system against particularly black people, but specifically black males, for, we can say, centuries. Centuries. So to say that it's more that black people are more susceptible, or they're more victimized in this area, is not something that people need to get their panties in a bunch about, like most people do. They get their panties in a bunch for a black person even mentioning that fact, and that's just idiocracy at its best. Because you acknowledge it doesn't mean that other people aren't dealing with it. Of course there are. And that's another conversation. That's when I would talk about classism versus racism. I'll give another short little dose of this game, and we'll talk about racism versus classism and how they indoctrinated white folks, the lower class white folks, into I mean, not to love hate, but I hate relationships with black people, and that's a whole nother conversation. So I don't want to get into that. But anyway, if you see the engagement on these police officers, you see that they're very, 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 very quick triggered. You know, and you can see if you watch enough videos and really just try to block out, and I hate to say this, but for the sake of this part of researching the psychological aspects of this game, you have to kind of block out what happens to the victim, and you want to just look at the body language of the officer the whole time from start to finish. When you see enough of these videos, you will see that there is a common pattern that certain officers will show facial expressions, certain muscular twitches in the face, that they are prone to pulling the trigger. And you will see some videos where those same officers do not pull the trigger. It would be an interesting research on the videos that I've watched and selected for review of officers that do not pull the trigger in the situation, but do display the same type of behaviors. It would be interesting to know about their professional, what's their professional review look like. Because there is a specific set of behaviors. However, I will say this, and I think it has to do with culture. White males are generally more obvious. I would say white and black, that have these have the body language that they're prone to shoot. Both of them have similar traits, and they're kind of blatantly obvious. I think that in the cases, some cases, that the victims, they didn't notice that. I don't know if it would even change anything, whether they would have, you know, in some cases, I don't want to go through all the different cases. In some cases, it obviously didn't matter. But in some cases, no. But I will say the Hispanic and the Asian officer, some of them, I would say a significant percentage of them show no signs before they're going to pull the trigger. And that's just my experience and my research. Sometimes they show no, and also black women. This is my experience. Black women, Asian males, and Hispanic males, police officers, I saw a significant percentage of them did not show signs that are, I could say, commonly associated with the black and white officers that show obvious signs that they are prone to shoot. So that's just something to look at. It's something we need to further research, and that's why I'm dropping you that little seed right there, so we can really look into that dynamic. Because black officers officer's gonna shoot some black victims, and they're gonna shoot some white ones too. And we've seen it in the media. Because the media has an agenda. And we're not gonna get into what's behind that agenda. But there is an agenda, clear agenda, that they're trying to make you feel a certain way when you watch it. I want to pose another question. In the realm of America 2016. America 2016. Greatest country on earth. The melting pot. The land of opportunity. Okay. The yellow brick world. The land of Oz. You dig? I want to talk about those people who have bought in, or I don't want to say bought in because that's bias. Those people who believe in that ultimate utopian democratic republic of America. I want to talk to the Caucasian, and I want to talk to a specific demographic of Caucasian because I know certain demographics ain't gonna be able to hear me. I want to talk to the educated. I don't really care how much money you make, but I want to talk to the at least bachelor degree or bachelor degree and above, or a person who knows a trade and is at least at mastery level, whether they be a chef, mechanic, car mechanic, electrician, plumber, whatever. But I want that class, that demographic, and I know that's blue collar and white collar, but I want you to be intellectually savvy. And I want to ask you a question. My question is this. Do you know who John Brown was in American history? He was a white abolitionist. And he was a white abolitionist with his boots on the ground. In 2016, is there a John Brown? Is there a John Brown 2016? And you don't have to be a champion for, John Brown. In his time, he had an issue that he was dealing with. He dealt with it by force, by the ultimate force. And I'm saying, from this segment of society, are you too comfortable to be John Brown 2016? Or do you believe there is a need or not for John Brown 2016? I want to throw that question out there, and I want you to think about that because, and it's not that, because personally, I don't care. But, it's just an interesting question to ask. It's an interesting question to ask in 2016, given American history and what has happened between John Brown in his time up until 2016. So it's an interesting question to ask. I don't have the answer. I don't live the white experience, especially in that demographic dimension. So I appreciate you. I would appreciate someone to answer that question. Okay. Probably the last thing I want to touch on is a dynamic that I want people to think about. What is the typical, if we were to look, and then let's put them all in one sack, or one category. So we're not talking about black, white, Mexican, Native American, Latino, Asian. What I'm asking you now is all police victims, people who have been shot by the police, armed or unarmed. And why do I say armed? Because just because you were armed doesn't mean that you were attempting to use your weapon. Okay, so that's why I say armed and unarmed. And that's one thing you as a public accountant should. Sometimes when you hear a story and they say the person was armed, that person may have, they can say he was armed because his gun could have been holstered or in the pocket or whatever. So, that's why I say armed and unarmed. And I want to know what kind of person becomes a victim of the police. Are there commonalities in these individuals? Do they have a similar upbringing? Do they all fall in a similar economic class? Do they all have the same type of education? Do they all have problems with substance abuse? Were they raised in broken homes? Were they all on antidepressants? Did they have any psychological, valid psychological diagnosis or evaluations? Did they have crime in their life as a juvenile and as an adult? These are questions that I want to know about the people who become victims of the police and the hands of the police. And so I'm dropping that seed out there, and this is just a little snippet. Oh, I guess I have to speak on the shootings, the last 2 shootings. This is crazy. I mean, we can't even keep up with all these shootings. Real quick, I want to say, just first off, the Dallas shooting. Now, if you ever want to do real research, anytime a traumatic and a major event happens, you need to record everything you can record in the first 24 hours. Everything you can. Multiple channels on television, radio. You want to get as much as you can off the internet. You want to screenshot it or save the page, print the page, whatever. You gotta get it, okay? Because one thing that they're pulling on us right now about the Dallas shooting is that there's only one shooter, and that's just, I'm sorry. The video is out there. I mean, well, now they're struggling, but I downloaded a few. There's multiple shooters. No doubt. No doubt. I'm 100% sure from the video, one specific video, where there is a sniper in a window and a guy. You remember in the initial reports about the triangular sniper attack? Now they're trying to just tell you about Micah. And now they're getting you drunk off Micah. Well, Micah wasn't by himself. Micah wasn't by himself. Now, you got the shooter in Louisiana. And I'm going to tell you something, and this is controversial. And this is something I'll expand on another time. And I'm going to give it to you raw from years and years and years of reading and researching. Reading books written by former assassins, books written by psychologists and psychiatrists of those who have done profiles on assassins or serial killers. So I'm not gonna maybe get into specifics because I did that for years. And I just noticed people don't appreciate it. And we live in an age where there is information pornography, literally. And so I'm just gonna invite people in. I'm gonna drop the seeds, and you got to cover the seed and put water on it, and you know, hopefully you get a fruit or a vegetable out of it. And make sure you pick your weeds, because there's a lot out there. And if you can catch what I threw right there, then I can talk to you. And if you can't catch that, then you know, there's a hierarchy of understanding. That's all I can say. But this guy, let me say this, there's gonna be more. And I know the conspiracy theory, this is a hoax, and this is a MK Ultra victim, and this is a agent provocateur. You're gonna hear all that shit. And I'm saying, what's your proof? And don't show me no fucking edited clips that you put together on YouTube and see how his hands is. He got the Masonic sign in his hand. And that's all bullshit. That's all bullshit. And that's designed to just fuck your head over. Okay? Go with the known facts. This dude is ex-military. It's the second ex-military. See, so that's how you, when you want to profile something, you go with the known facts. So you could take and write down and start writing these guys' names down and categorizing age, education, affiliations, da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, in these last two shootings, you see they're both pro-black or black nationalists. I don't want to put them in a box, but that's what it appears to be. They're both ex-military. They're both, well, I can't say both, but one appears to be highly intelligent to the point of writing books, having a radio show, teaching people things, traveling the world, da-da-da-da-da-da. That sounds like a well-seasoned individual. Micah, I haven't heard of him having a radio show, this, that, and the other. But he was putting himself around that element of, you can say, intellectual awakening, for lack of better words. So, the point I want to say, and I'm going to do another episode on it in depth, and that's the anatomy of a lone assassin or a lone shooter, and not these people who are labeled in the media that way, but those who really are that way, and those who have the psychology and the profile. And these, if you see this guy, if he truly did it, this gentleman, I forgot his name, it just happened. Man, I forgot the guy's name. Anyway, it's not the Cosmos dude. Conversational Cosmos. Well, that profile is probably all the FBI profile books that I've read, this guy's profile is probably the most dangerous, and so is Micah. And I know you guys are buying into the whole black thing. There's a white version of Micah and Cosmos. What's his name? September. or whatever his name, Cosmo September. You have these same types. In fact, you know, in my early research in the early 90s, I spent most of my time researching all the different white and black extremists, so-called extremists. You know, I consider myself at one particular time an expert on the Klan and the Aryan Nation and all their splinter groups and stuff like that. But in this white identity movement, which has a lot of different strains, there are tons, thousands of Micahs and Cosmos in white flesh. Thousands. Okay? Much more organized. Much, you know, actively training. Years on end. And I'm not talking about none of the buffoons you see on these HBO specials or any of these, you know, live shows when they're just talking real breezy. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about weekend warriors. They're educated people. They have money. They're middle class to upper middle class. Some of them were reservists. Some of them are retired. Some of them are retired CEOs. You know, on and 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 on. But the one thing that is common with them, they have a strain of this white identity, and they appear to be very patriotic to the point that they would take matters into their own hands, and they believe in that concept as the ultimate sacrifice for American patriotism. And that's how they refer to the stories of George Washington, Paul Revere, all these other stories, because it was revolution. It was war. You know, the Civil War. That's a lot of people more rights than these Cosmos and this Micah. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot. And don't get me started on the Oath Keepers. Oh man, you know, you got the Oath Keepers, and there's other groups. Now the Oath Keepers is cold. Just Google the Oath Keepers and go to their website, listen to their material. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just telling whoever's listening, I don't care what color you are, man, don't be sheep. Don't buy into this. Okay? Go and do your own research and have an unemotional, educated, fact-based opinion about what's going on. And if you can't step out of the common paradigm for the common black person, the common white person, the common Hispanic person, Native American, whatever, then you just want to be sheep. Okay? So, there's a lot of games being played, and you need to understand how they're being played. They're being played on the police too. On the police too. One of the psychological games they played on the police was in the movie I, Robot. Just real quick, go back and watch the movie, and if you remember at the beginning of the movie, the robot had to decide whether to save or Smith or the little girl. The robot had calculated that if he went for the little girl would survive on the way to the surface. She would run out of oxygen and die. So, the robot was the police officer. Throughout the movie you see, first of all, let me explain that. That is counter-human nature. Anyone, if they were trying to save some people, they underwater. And they see the little girl. And the man, they're both struggling to get out of the sea and drowning underwater. The first person you would go for, not just only because it's the child, it's the easiest and the fastest, save. So the idea is to save the little girl, get her safe, go back down and save the adult. So they were, and I don't want to say they, but the theme or the message is, you don't follow your feelings. You follow directives, code, law, order. You don't follow emotions. You don't follow natural human instinct. It's the destruction of humanity. It's black and white. It's not even black and white. It's not even hot and cold. It's gray. And it's cold and it's hard. And it's sharp. And that's what was one of the things. And as you move throughout the movie, you see the robot, as it's gaining more feelings, it becomes the enemy amongst the iRobots. The iRobots were the police. So you saw the one that wanted to be human, thought it was human, became the enemy. From the first time I saw this movie, I said, this is going to mind fuck every single police officer subconsciously and watches this movie. First time I saw it. Then as I watched how society is working, and that's what you're seeing. In every police department throughout history of America, there's always been good cops and bad cops. It was always the good cops outweighing the bad cops. Now, the definition, because the rules of engagement have changed, the definition of good and bad is now gray. So, why? Because they're going to flip the script on you completely. And what is once thought as being bad will be the good cop. And what was once thought as good will be the bad cop. Yes, of course. Because if you switch the rules of engagement, if you don't follow my orders and I put a bullet between your head, between your eyes, I split your wig, spill your beans all over the pavement, and everybody see it with the cell phones. Who gives a fuck? I follow the rules. And all you have to do is that process is happening. Just go and watch the comments on videos where it was a clear, several different alternatives in apprehending the subjects, but they took their lives. And you're seeing the psychology change. You're seeing it. So I'll stop my rant for today, and I'll leave it at that. And, like I said, I'm going to talk about a lot of different stuff next time. So peace out.